Alright, so if you clicked on this video, it's probably because you want to make and print out your own comic books at home. And I'm going to go over the process that worked for me. I've seen many people do this kind of video on YouTube before, which helped me out a lot, but this one's going to be a little bit different, I think, because my process is a little bit different. And not everybody is going to be the same, but hopefully this helps you out, because I feel like it's a pretty easy way of doing it. Alright, for my second issue, I kind of started to figure things out a bit more, except with the sheet of paper I was using, it was kind of a fluke with how it became kind of the right size for what I'll be going through. The page here is 11 inches by 14 inches. So as you can see here, one sheet is 11 inches by 14, and I just folded it in half and kind of measured a centimeter away from the spine and a centimeter away from the bottom. And the size I went with was 6 inches by, sorry about the camera work, 9.5, I believe it is. The size of paper that I'm going to be printing on is a typical letter size, which is 8.5 by 11 inches. And when you fold that in half and look at the actual finished product, the half of the page isn't exactly half of 8.5 by 11. It's of course 5.5 by 8.5, which is a weird size to use, I think. So I don't know exactly how the ratio works yet with scaling up the image, but 6 inches by 9.5 for my kind of physical copy that I showed you on the page here that I was drawing on just happened to be almost exactly the right size. I tried to make my next issue a little bit bigger by going like 7 inches by like 10.5 inches, but the ratio didn't quite work out. I think it had to be a little bit more precise, so I'm still figuring that out. But I think 6 inches by 9.5 is probably the best. It's a pretty good size to draw on. You can get a lot of detail. It's not like a massive whole sheet that comic book artists typically use. It's a little bit smaller, but it really does the trick, I think, for what I'm doing anyway. Now, something you're going to need is a printer. That is also a scanner as well. Some people say to go to like Staples or the library. I just don't like going out into public acting like I don't know what I'm doing. So what I have here is, it's a little bit of an older model. I think they've come a long ways so far. This is the Canon G3200 that somebody recommended to me. I didn't exactly realize how old it was until I installed the software onto my laptop and realized that there was way more newer versions of this. And I guess it kind of prints slowly, but it does the trick. It's really great quality. The software here is the print editor, and also this I don't know what the hell you call it, some kind of taskbar thing that you can download that comes with the download, the control. It's all the printer controls you can customize. So I can scan a placed photo on my printer scanner. I customize that button. So once you scan this, it'll send it right to one of my folders where all my pictures go. I customize it to scan as a JPEG, I believe, just a typical image, because at first it was scanning them as PDFs, and that was really screwing me over for a while. I didn't know what was going on, didn't know how to work it. I'm an old man, I tell you. So once you get the pictures scanned into the computer as JPEGs, you go onto your print editor. Again, this is only for the Canon G32. I don't know how similar all the other Canon versions of this are, but this is the one I have. It's pretty easy. So what you're seeing here is the page layout of the cover for my issue number 1. This was a variant cover, it wasn't the original one. So I loaded these 2 photos onto here, and I had to do them upside down because I printed out the opposite side of this page first, which is right side up, and what I had to do, which I'll probably show later, is I had to take that sheet of paper, refeed it back into the top of the printer, but I want to print on the other side, so I have to flip the page in this way so that whenever it prints out, I probably didn't have to do it this way, but this worked for me where I display the page on the computer as upside down so that when it prints on, everything works out right. And this is the home screen of the photo print editor, Canon Easy Photo Print Editor. If you go to let's say new, it brings up all these layouts, so you can go to photo layouts, and then the one I like using is for the cover I would use, where am I, the borderless one right here, 2 different images, borderless. I would do that for the cover, but for the inside, because of the spine, you don't want any of your images going into the spine, so what I do is I use this bordered 2 image one, and letter 8.5 by 11, and then you'd browse your images. I'll just select a couple random ones. Let's go, since we're familiar with this, we'll open up the cover, open up a second one. This is the inside of the cover, So what you see here is that there's this little white border around them, which if this were the panels of the action happening, what I'd want to do is I'd push the borders out a little bit. I won't be too meticulous about it right now, just because I'm not worried about the actual layout of it. So what you see here, what I've done is that I took the border away from all the edges except for the middle in between. There's still like the white in between, which is where the spine would be. If this was the inside of the comic. I really should have just done the panels, uploaded the panels, but it's whatever. Alright, so let's go ahead with actually printing out a couple panels onto a sheet here, as well as the cover. So whenever you're inside the photo editor, you can save all your items. Of course you'd want to save them because it's not like you're just going to print out a bunch of copies of your comic book and then all these files are going to just disappear and that's it. You only have physical copies of your comic book now. Nope, you got some of all these images on your computer still, hopefully. So this is going to be the inside of the cover, as well as this is the very back. So you got on the left side, this is the inside sleeve, which is just like kind of like the credits. Shows that I wrote it, a little description, the characters, find me on Facebook, and my logo. And in the back, some comics like the Ninja Turtles. I really liked how, I'm not sure how many people do this, but I did notice that the Ninja Turtle comics did have little bonus stuff in the very back where like they'd show alternate covers, they'd show behind the scenes work, which you can see here. Yeah, timeline and cover ideas. I ended up using one of the cover ideas for my cover variants. Alright, so you click on edit, and then this has already been saved into the optimal format to print out. So you go over to next, and then you got all these specifications over here, which is mostly stuff that you just want to work out with trial and error, which, believe me, I tried out. There's printer settings, that just tells you which printer it's going to. Paper size, that one should be obvious if you know what size your paper is. And then media type, which I guess should also probably be obvious too, but they kind of print on differently depending on what kind of paper it is. So some of these did look very similar, almost really hard to tell the difference between them, and other ones were unmistakably the wrong choices. So you don't want to make the wrong one and print out 100 sheets or something and they all don't look good. You want to make sure it looks good for your customers. So I got that settings all worked out, which wasn't really too hard. And then print. My printer's not on. Just a second. Alright, so it is now printing, and as you can see, it's probably taking a while compared to most things. I tried printing out just like a script one day, which was just a regular document, completely white with black lettering on it, and it printed very fast, but this isn't. And the thing about this is when I scan my pages in, pretty much the entire page scanned as a gray tone, which is definitely not optimal. You'd want it to be white because it would make the printing process go a lot quicker, whereas this, it has to make sure that it looks like what you told it. And since there's gray on there, it's inking 100% of the page, unless there's like deliberate white on there, which I don't usually have any white on, except for around certain letters and stuff. But yeah, it takes a while. Not super long though, which is good. It could be worse. Here it comes. Alright, there it is. Printed out. Looks pretty good. You see, what I did here was I actually scanned the image of my original version of this page, which was, at first it was completely hand drawn. You can see behind the logo there's a second logo behind there, and behind the letters, and right there's even a second word, the, but I made it blurry. So what I did was I had it scanned in, and I had it go into my phone, and I have an editing software on my phone, as most people do. So what I did was I blurred it, and then I just wrote on top of it with the font you can use on your phone, and with the logo here, I edited my logo as well, and I just added that in as though I added another photo on top of another photo, and that's how I get that look. And now what I'm going to do, so this sheet came out of the printer like this. So when I put it back in, I just flip it like that, And that's why whenever I print the cover, I have to make sure it's upside down. Upside down, and then you go print that one copy, and there you go. I have some white line there that shouldn't be there. That's weird. Right on the edge there. Of course, I'd be able to fix that in just the software. I can just realign it. But I thought I already had that saved so that it was good. Oh well. This is just a test anyway. So there it is. So now that it printed out like that, the other side is right side up as well. Funny how that works, huh? That's the back cover. My 8-bit logo. Yeah. Now one of the questions I see the most is probably what kind of paper should you use? You want to use the kind of paper that comic book publishers, comic book creators use. I'm not sure if that kind of paper is exactly like affordable, and I did see one video, I think, of one of the main processes of how a legit comic is made, and it's very unusual, very big sheet of paper, very plastic-like. I don't even know what it was, but the pages that I use, like I said, are just regular letter size. I was using a different kind of sheet before this, down here, the white, in the white bag. I think it's 20 pounds, 22 pounds. And then I ended up switching to 24 pounds. It's a bit thicker of a paper, but it's literally like the same quality though. Like the roughness is the same, but the thickness is different. So you can probably go up to 26 pounds, maybe 30 if that's a thing. I know it goes up to like 60 or more, but you don't need that thick of paper. 26 would probably be pretty good, because I found with the 24-pound paper that I'm using right now, I can't necessarily use like black or else it will bleed through. So I tend to use black just on the cover or the back, and I try not to make something important on the other side of it, but that's mostly why I just try not to use black. And if I wanted to, I'd probably go up to 26 or 30 pounds and then see how the black handles on that. Of course, with the 24-pound one, it doesn't bleed through a lot. Not as much as the paper down here, but this is just regular kind of office paper, I guess. Inkjet, blah 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 blah, whatever. It's just basic paper. It does the trick. I hope this helped. Now, I understand that you do, in this process, you do have to have this printer, which I bought for like $200-300, which isn't exactly affordable, especially with ink and the paper. And you have the Booklet Stapler, which I didn't mention. So there's also one of these staplers, which is you can see is angled there, so you can set the comic book down on top of it, so you can get it right on the spine. That was about $50, so it's not necessarily cheap, but if you love making comic books, which I do, this is totally awesome. The thing is, it's not easy and it takes some trial and error. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it helped. I hope it opened your eyes a little bit. Hopefully this process can work for you in some ways. I know not everybody's process is the same, but I hope you have some things you can take away from this. And thank you. If there's any questions, please feel free to ask me. If I didn't cover something, which I probably did, I don't think I covered everything, but if you want me to elaborate on something that I've learned, by all means. See you next time.